My name is Claire Abbott, and I didn't know we were running until it was almost too late. We were 15 minutes from the border. 3 kids in the back seat. Cartoons on low volume, juice boxes already half empty. My husband in the passenger seat, unusually silent, and me, just driving like always. I thought we were headed to a family reunion. Turns out, we were driving straight into something we'd never return from. He didn't scream. He didn't flinch. He just leaned closer and whispered, "Turn the car around." Now, not a request, not a question, a command wrapped in something cold and ancient. I looked at him, really looked. And in that second, I knew something was in that trunk. And whatever it wasn't luggage. I didn't ask questions. Not yet. I simply took the next exit, a sharp curve off the highway, leading into a stretch of road I'd never driven before. Narrow, tree-lined, and nearly silent. The kids didn't notice. Too busy watching a movie about space pirates. Too young to feel the weight that had just landed in the car like fog. But I felt it, like a pressure behind my ribs. He didn't speak again for a full 5 minutes. Just sat there, elbows on knees, staring straight ahead. I gripped the wheel tighter. I wasn't afraid yet, but I was listening now. "Where are we going?" I finally asked. "Just keep driving," he said. "I'll tell you when to stop." That's when the fear bloomed, because this man, my husband of 11 years, had never sounded like a stranger until now. 10 minutes later, he told me to pull into a gravel turnout, beside a cluster of pine trees. It was the kind of place where no one ever stops on purpose. "Kill the engine," he said. I did. He turned to me then, finally, and I saw something in his face that made my stomach drop. Not panic, guilt. The kind that's been sitting in someone's gut for a long time, waiting for the moment it spills. "Claire," he said, "I need to show you something. Please come with me." I didn't move. "What is it?" He opened his door, walked to the back of the car, lifted the trunk. He stood there for a second, staring down. Then he reached inside and pulled out a duffel bag, red, zip shut, stained at one end. He didn't open it. He just looked at me and whispered. I didn't know what else to do. I didn't move at first. Just stared at the red duffel bag sitting in the gravel. The stain, the way he avoided looking at it, the way his hands trembled even though his voice didn't. "What's in?" I asked. His eyes met mine, not with answers, with resignation. "You need to see." I crouched down. The zipper was stiff, almost stuck halfway. My fingers hesitated. My heart thudded like it wanted to outrun the moment. And then I opened it. Inside I saw a gun, a stack of passports, a bundle of cash so thick it looked cartoonish, and at the very bottom, wrapped in a stained cloth, a woman's necklace I recognized, silver chain, green stone, delicate, cheap, but unmistakably hers, my sister's. I recoiled so hard I fell back onto the dirt. "What the hell is this?" I whispered. He crouched beside me, eyes begging, voice low. "She gave it to me." Before she disappeared, that sentence didn't make sense, not at first, because my sister Jessica had vanished 3 years ago. No note, no call, no body, just gone. And no one ever mentioned her again, especially not him. "You told me you barely knew her," I said. I lied. He swallowed. Hard, like the truth had razor edges. "I didn't just know Jessica. I was with her, before you and I ever started." The ground felt like it tipped under me. "You were what?" "I thought it was over." She said it was over. But then, right before she left, she called me. He paused. She said she was scared. I stared at the gun, the passports, the money, the necklace. "You think she's dead?" I said. He didn't answer. Because silence can be more honest than any yes. "You were with her," I repeated. The words barely left my throat. They didn't even sound like mine. He nodded once. "I never meant for you to find out this way." I almost laughed. Not because it was funny, but because the absurdity of the moment felt like fiction. Our kids were in the back seat. The sun was still rising, and here I was, staring at a duffel bag full of blood money and my missing sister's necklace. "How long?" I asked. He didn't answer at first. How long were you with her? Before me. He looked away. 2 years. My breath hitched. Not from betrayal, not even from jealousy, but from something deeper. I had married a man who loved my sister, and I never knew. She was going to tell you, he said. But then she vanished. I shook my head. People don't just vanish. His eyes darkened. Jess did. Because she found something she wasn't supposed to. He pointed toward the bag. Those passports, they're fake. The cash, laundered. That gun. It was never supposed to leave the house. She got mixed up with someone. A client. Or maybe someone pretending to be. My blood ran cold. She was working with someone dangerous. He nodded. And then one day, she called me, crying. Said if anything happened to her, I'd find this bag hidden behind the dryer in her apartment. He looked at me. I didn't find it until 2 weeks later. She was already gone. You told me you barely knew her? I whispered again. I said what I had to say, he replied. To protect you, to protect us. If I had told the truth then, I cut him off. You lied to me. For years, he didn't deny it. But what he said next made my skin crawl. Claire, when we passed that checkpoint this morning, I saw someone I recognized. My stomach turned. Recognized from where? He stared at me. From the night Jess disappeared. The air between us went still. What do you mean, someone you recognized? I asked, barely able to breathe. He hesitated, then said quietly there was a man, tall. Beard, tattoo on his hand, half a raven. He was in the parking lot outside the checkpoint today. I froze, because I knew that tattoo. I'd seen it once in a photo Jessica sent me. A blurry, half-lit image with a man's arms slung around her shoulder. Back then, I thought nothing of it. Now, I felt sick. That's the guy she was scared of? I asked. He nodded. Jess called him Owen, but I doubt that was his real name. I backed away, one step, then another. My husband didn't try to stop me. He just stood there, like he already knew what I was thinking. You dragged me and our kids into this, I hissed. I didn't know he was still watching. I thought we were safe. No, I said. You hoped we were safe. That's not the same. He looked at the ground. Then he whispered, Claire, I think he saw me. This morning. Before I told you to turn around. I swallowed hard. And now he knows you're not going through the checkpoint. He nodded. And if he thinks I have this, he gestured to the bag. He won't stop. I looked back at the car. At our children, still oblivious. Still laughing at something on the tablet. Still living in a world that made sense. And then I looked at the man I married. The man who loved my sister. Lied to me for years. And may have led a killer right to our door. I need to know the truth. I said, my voice shaking. Did you have anything to do with her disappearance? He stepped forward. Not fast, not threatening, but desperate. No, Claire, I swear on our kids. I didn't hurt her. I tried to save her. I was too late. I believed him, or maybe I just needed to. But belief wouldn't protect us now. Only action would. Then we need to disappear before he finds us, I said. My voice was steel now. Because the woman who pulled off the highway in fear wasn't the same one standing in the gravel with the truth bleeding at her feet. We didn't go home. We didn't go back to the highway. We didn't go to the police. Because according to my husband, that was the first place they'd look. Instead, we drove, fast, quiet, and nowhere. We stopped at a gas station in the middle of a forgotten town. The kind with rusted pumps and sun-faded signage. The kind where no one asks questions because no one wants answers. I went inside alone. Burner phones, cash reload cards, sunglasses for the kids. A change of hair dye I wasn't ready to use but bought anyway. When I came out, he was pacing. Did you talk to anyone? He asked immediately. I froze. That question. So fast, so sharp, so controlled. Not, are you okay? Not, do they take cash? Just, did you talk to anyone? That was the first time I wondered. Am I still running with him? Or am I running from him? In the next town, we checked into a motel using a fake name. He paid cash. He always had cash. I never asked why, until now. That night, as the kids fell asleep watching cartoons, I sat in the bathroom with the faucet running and dialed the only number I still knew by heart. My sister's old voicemail. It had been disconnected, but I needed to hear it anyway, to remind myself she once existed, that she had a laugh like mine, a temper like fire, and a habit of trusting the wrong people, just like me. I stared into the mirror, hair tangled, eyes red, a woman I barely recognized. But one thing was clear. This didn't start today. It started the day I believed silence was safety. It started the day I stopped asking questions, and now I needed to become the kind of woman who asks everything. At 3:12 a.m., I couldn't sleep. The motel AC groaned. The kids mumbled in their dreams. And beside me, my husband slept like nothing was chasing us. I watched his chest rise and fall. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3. Then I moved, silently, carefully. I reached for his backpack, the one he never let out of his sight, the one he took with him to the bathroom, the shower, even the gas station. Now, it was at my feet. I unzipped it slowly, no alarms, no traps, just folders, a burner phone, a few more stacks of cash, and something that made my blood slow, a notebook. Black cover, spiral spine, bent pages, inside dates. Names, notes in messy handwriting I knew too well. I flipped to March 3rd, the date Jessica disappeared, and there it was, a line that read, last seen 3:15 p.m. apartment lot, waited 2 hers, no contact, left 5:25 p.m. I froze. Because in the police report, he'd told them he hadn't seen her in weeks. Not that day, not that time, not ever again. He lied to the cops, lied to me, but not to his own notebook. Because the truth always spills somewhere. And this was his spill. I snapped a photo with the motel phone I'd bought, sent it to my old email address, one I hadn't used in years. Then I zipped the bag back up and slipped into bed. He stirred. I held my breath. But he didn't wake. And in that moment, staring up at the water, stained ceiling, I stopped being afraid of the man chasing us. I started being afraid of the man sleeping beside me. By morning, I had a plan. It wasn't perfect, but it was mine. While he took the kids to grab breakfast from the motel lobby, I stayed behind, saying I had a headache. He didn't argue. Maybe he thought I was breaking. Maybe he wanted me to. But I wasn't breaking, I was calculating. As soon as they left, I locked the door and pulled the red duffel out from under the bed. I found the necklace, Jessica's necklace, still tucked inside a blood-stained napkin. I wrapped it carefully in a clean towel. Then I opened the motel burner phone, pulled up the contact I'd added the night before, and hit send. Me, need a favor. Your Jim. Forensics level. Me 2 mins later, photo of necklace, timestamp, location me. Can you check for fingerprints? Especially his. The person I sent it to was named Ray. We hadn't spoken in over 5 years. She used to work at a state forensics lab before switching to private consulting. She also used to be Jessica's best friend. I didn't trust many people, but I trusted Ray with truth, even when it hurt. 10 minutes later, my phone buzzed. Ray, where did you get this? Me, I'll explain later. Just tell me if you can help. Ray, you didn't hear this from me. But yeah, give me 48 hours. Me, thank you. Really, when he came back with the kids, he smiled like everything was normal. Got your favorite. The weird blueberry muffin with the crunchy top. I smiled back, pretended to take a bite, pretended I was still asleep in the dream he wanted me in. But inside, I was wide awake. Because if Ray found only his prints on that necklace, then the story he told me, that she gave it to him before she disappeared, wasn't a story. It was a script. And I wasn't playing my part anymore. Ray called late, almost midnight. I stepped outside the motel room, phone tight to my ear, heart pounding like it already knew something was coming. Her voice was tense. No greetings, no small talk, just Claire. I ran the necklace. I didn't breathe. 2 clear fingerprints. One's your sister. One's not your husband. I closed my eyes. That could have been good news. It should have been good news. But Ray kept talking. The second print belongs to someone named Kyle R. Devlin. That name meant nothing to me. Until she said, Claire, He was investigated 6 years ago in connection to 2 missing women. Both cases went cold, but he was never cleared. And guess what? I whispered. What? He used to work at the same architecture firm as your husband. Same department. Same building. Same damn office. My stomach flipped. Wait, so they knew each other? More than that, she said. They were business partners on 2 projects. Their names are on permits together. My throat dried. He never told me about a Kyle. Not once in 11 years. Not during any dinner conversation, not during any fight, not even in passing. Because you don't accidentally forget a man tied to missing women. Especially not when your wife's sister is one of them. Ray lowered her voice. There's more. The necklace. The cloth it was wrapped in. Traced to a dry cleaner that burned down 2 weeks after Jessica vanished. A dry cleaner Kyle's wife used. I nearly dropped the phone. He's married, Ray said. She disappeared too. In 2019, still no trace. I sat on the curb. Gravel biting into my legs, night air thick around me. And for the first time I felt it. This wasn't about one lie, or even one man, this was a web, and I was inside it. I hung up, went back into the motel room, watched my husband sleep. So still, so peaceful. And I asked myself, what if he's not the killer, but the cover? And if that's true, what am I covering up by staying silent? It was 2:47 a.m. The motel was dead silent. Even the ice machine had gone quiet. I sat in the bathroom, toothbrush in one hand, burner phone in the other, drafting a message to Ray. I need to disappear. Not just run. I need a new life. But before I could hit send, knock, knock. 3 soft raps on the motel door. My heart slammed into my ribs, not frantic, not loud, just confident. Like whoever it was already knew we were inside. I moved quickly, flicked off the bathroom light, peered through the crack in the curtain, and I saw him. Tall, lean, long coat, dark hoodie underneath, and on his left hand, barely visible under the porch light, a tattoo, a raven. Its wings curled up like claws. I couldn't breathe, because I'd seen that hand. In the photo Jessica once sent me, in my husband's notebook, in my nightmares. Another knock, this time slower, deliberate. My husband stirred on the bed. I turned back, just as his eyes opened. And when they locked on me, I saw something new. Not panic, recognition. He was already moving, quiet, fast. He grabbed his backpack, the car keys, whispered, "Get the kids." Now, what does he want? I whispered back. But he didn't answer. Because deep down, we both already knew. This wasn't about what he wanted. It was about what he came to take. I rushed to the kids. Slipped shoes on sleepy feet. Wrapped coats around shoulders. Outside, another knock, still soft, still steady. And then a voice. "Claire." I froze. He knew my name. "You've been looking in the wrong direction." I grabbed my daughter's hand. "But don't worry." The man continued, calm as bone. He lied to both of us. My husband's face went white. That was the moment I realized. This man wasn't here to kill us. He was here to reveal something, and it would break everything. But I didn't stay to listen. I shoved open the bathroom window. Lifted my kids out one by one. Felt the cold night slice through me like a warning. Then I looked back, at my husband still frozen inside, at the man still knocking, and at the motel room where my life used to make sense. Then I ran, into the dark, into the unknown, into whatever came after the truth. We ran until our legs shook. Me, barefoot, my daughter crying, my son asking if this was a game, through the brush, over gravel, until we saw it, a church abandoned, cross-cracked windows shattered. But still, somehow sacred, I pushed open the side door. It groaned like it hadn't been touched in years. We stepped inside. Dust, silence, moonlight through the broken roof. We collapsed on the pews. No prayers, just breathing. Hours passed. The kids fell asleep wrapped in coats in each other. I searched my husband's backpack, looking for food, a flashlight, anything. And that's when I found it. A voice recorder, taped shut, old, heavy, with a single word scratched into the side, J. My hands shook. I peeled off the tape, pressed play, static. Then a voice. Familiar, ragged. "If you're hearing this, I didn't make it. I dropped the device, but the voice kept playing. I trusted the wrong person. He said he could protect me. He said the man with the raven tattoo wouldn't find me. But he always does. He always will. I pressed rewind, listened again and again, because the voice was Jessica. And she wasn't crying, she was whispering. If anything happens to me, Claire, ask him about Kyle. Ask him about the permit. Ask him why he was there an hour before I disappeared. I paused the tape. Every word sliced deeper. Because she wasn't leaving a goodbye. She was leaving a map. I hit play again. He lied to you too, Claire. Not just about Kyle, about me. About what he saw that day. He saw everything. And he left me there anyway. The recorder clicked off. Silence returned. But something inside me had changed. I wasn't scared anymore. I was angry. Because if Jessica left this for me, it meant she believed I would fight. And I would. Not just to survive. To finish what she started. I left the kids at the church. Not alone. A retired groundskeeper named Lyle lived in a trailer out back. Half-blind, kind voice, didn't ask questions. I handed him $200 in cash and whispered, "Keep the doors locked. If anyone comes asking about me, say I left hours ago." Then I left. Back on the road. Back toward Ray. I met her in a diner just outside the city. She was waiting in the corner booth, dark hoodie up, laptop open. Her eyes scanned me fast. "You look like hell," she said. "Good," I whispered, "because I'm about to drag someone through it." She slid a folder across the table. "Your sister's voice memo mentioned a permit. This is what I found." I opened it. Dated 4 days before Jessica vanished. 2 signatures, Kyle R. Devlin, Elliot Abbott, my husband. The project, private property excavation. Parcel 97B, North County Woodlands. Purpose, swell inspection, private retention. I blinked. This was Jessica's favorite hiking spot, I whispered. She used to go there alone. Ray nodded. County records say the project was canceled, but the permit was never officially closed. Which means it's still active. I finished. She looked me in the eyes. I think that's where he took her. I closed the folder, felt my throat burn. Then I stood. "Send me the coordinates," I said. "I'm going there tonight." Ray grabbed my wrist. "Claire, if you go, I won't wait anymore." I pulled away. Because some truths aren't found in courtrooms. Some truths are buried, and I was ready to dig. The forest was quiet. Too quiet. I parked on the edge of Parcel 97B and stepped into the trees. Flashlight, voice recorder. Ray's printed permit tucked in my coat. The trees closed in like they recognized me. Or maybe they remembered Jessica. I followed the old trail. It was overgrown, nearly erased. But muscle memory kicked in. Jessica brought me here once, years ago. We were laughing then, throwing rocks into a stream. No monsters, no lies. Just sisters. 30 minutes in, I reached the old maple. It was massive, roots like arms. Trunk split near the base. And carved into the bark, barely visible under moss. J+C, I fell to my knees. Touched it with trembling fingers. That's when I saw it. Something caught in the roots. A silver chain I pulled gently, another necklace. But not Jessica's. This one was newer. Smaller, child-sized. And next to it a glove, canvas. Stained dark, I picked it up. Held it to the light blood. Dreadled. I didn't scream. I just turned on the voice recorder and spoke slowly. Item found, small necklace. Possibly child's. 1 canvas glove, stained. Coordinates marked, this tree was carved with J and C. I believe this is where she died. A twig snapped behind me. I froze. Not a branch falling. A step. I killed the flashlight, dropped flat against the dirt. Breathing shallow. Another step, closer. Then a voice. I told him not to bring her here. My heart slammed. A silhouette stood just beyond the tree line. Tall, broad-shouldered, face hidden in shadow. But the voice. I knew it wasn't my husband. It was him. The man with the raven tattoo. He didn't move. Didn't pull a weapon. Didn't raise his voice. He just sat, on the mossy root of the maple tree, like it was his porch, and said, "You came alone." Smart, I kept my hand near the recorder in my coat. Didn't dare breathe too loud. He looked up at the tree trunk. Your sister was brave. She didn't scream, even when she realized she wasn't getting out. I took a step forward. You killed her. He shook his head. No, I found her. Your husband brought her here. Tied up, drugged, said it was temporary. I froze. He met my eyes. He thought she had something that could ruin him. Said she found out about a transfer, land deal maybe. Said she'd run her mouth. Said he just needed a place to calm her down. I whispered, You expect me to believe you're not a killer? His jaw tightened. Then he rolled up his left sleeve, the raven tattoo. Below it, a deep, faded scar. I tried to let her go. He came back early, saw me, we fought. He pointed to the scar. She tried to stop it. Stepped between us, he paused, then looked down. She hit her head on the stone behind you. I turned. There it was, a flat, jagged rock, darkened on one side. I wanted to scream, wanted to deny it. But the moss had been peeled back, and the stain was real. Old, permanent. He told me to bury her. The man's voice cracked, said I owed him, said if I didn't, he'd blame it all on me. He had the permits, the alibis, the influence. I whispered, Why didn't you go to the police? He looked at me like I was naive. He owns them. The ones that matter. I took out the voice recorder, held it in front of him. Say that again. But he didn't. He stood, walked to the tree, pressed a hand against the bark, then said, She carved your initials here. Right before I untied her hands, she said, If anyone ever comes looking, they'll know where to begin. He turned to leave, paused. He'll know you found this place. I asked, Why are you helping me now? He didn't smile, didn't blink, just said, Because the next name on that permit isn't yours, it's your daughter's. By sunrise, I was back in the city, back at Ray's. I didn't cry, didn't speak much either, just handed her the voice recorder. She listened, all of it. When it ended, she said nothing, just opened her laptop. Let's go deeper, she whispered. She started with Elliot's business records. His firm specialized in land acquisitions and mineral rights. But there was one client that stood out. A shell company, Bastion West Holdings. Ray traced it back through 3 layers of fake names and dormant accounts, until she froze. Claire. She turned the screen toward me. TRUSPIN is to be a beneficiary. Leela Abbott, my daughter, opened 6 months ago, asset backing parcel 97B and surrounding lots, estimated value 3.2 million, access granted upon legal adulthood or parental death. I stared at the screen. My chest went cold. He put her name on land where a body is buried. I whispered. Ray nodded. Legally, she inherits everything tied to that parcel. If someone investigates and finds remains, they'll think she benefited. I finished. My voice was a whisper. He made her the fall guy. Ray pulled up one more tab. Claire, there's something else. It was a life insurance policy. Holder Claire Abbott. Payout $1 million. Beneficiary Leela Abbott. Filed 2 weeks before the trip. I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. Ray whispered, I think he planned to kill you in those woods. Frame the land as Leela's. Say you died on property your daughter owned. The optics. My voice cracked. Make me look like I was hiding something. Make him the grieving father. She inherits the land. He controls her assets. Ray didn't answer. She didn't have to, because we both knew this wasn't just a cover-up. It was a setup. The lawyer's office was in a steel and glass tower near the edge of downtown. Neutral ground. Expensive. Private. Just what Ray suggested. His name was Howard Price. Clean record. Handled whistleblower cases. Didn't blink when I handed over the flash drive. He watched the video of the maple tree. Listened to the recording. Scrolled through screenshots of the trust account. When it was over, he leaned back. You have enough to indict, he said. But not enough to convict. I stared. What do you mean? You have implication, motive, and a witness. But the witness is a man with a sealed record, and a tattooed fill-on doesn't hold up great in front of a jury. I pressed, and the land records. The trust fund. The glove. He sighed. You're close. But if you want the system to work, really work, He tapped the flash drive. You need to expose this, loudly, publicly, before he spins it first. I nodded slowly. I'll do it, I whispered. Press, police, everyone. He nodded back. You're brave, Claire. And then, be careful who else knows you are here. I left the building, walked toward the parking structure. Concrete echoed under my boots. Sunlight bounced off windshields. That's when I saw him. Lean, not my husband, not a stranger. A man in a charcoal coat, shaved head, sunglasses, earpiece. He smiled as I froze. Then he said, Mrs. Abbott, your husband would like a word. I didn't run, didn't scream. The man in the charcoal coat opened the car door like a chauffier, and I stepped in, because fear doesn't always scream. Sometimes it sits beside you and buckles its seatbelt. Elliot was waiting inside. Back seat, leather jacket, wedding ring still on. He didn't look angry. He looked amused. Claire, he said, smiling softly. As beautiful as ever. I didn't answer. He handed me a manila envelope. Thick, heavy, no markings. Open it. Inside, a notarized confession, signed by someone named Carl Maddox. The raven tattoo. It reacted alone. I lured Jessica Monroe into the woods under false pretenses. She resisted. I panicked. I buried the body to avoid arrest. I looked up. Elliot watched me like a chess player who just sacrificed a pawn. He's dead, I whispered. Elliot shrugged. Missing. Presumed drunk, maybe high. You know how men like him go out. I felt the blood drain from my face. You killed him. Elliot leaned in. No, darling, you did. Or at least, that's what the timeline will suggest. You were the last person seen with him. In the woods. Near the same property where you said your sister died. My hands trembled. You're framing me. No, he said gently. I'm offering you a door. He gestured out the window. Walk away now. Drop everything. Take our daughter. Live your life. And I'll never speak of this again. And if I don't? His smile vanished. He leaned in and whispered, then your daughter inherits everything, including your crimes. I got out of the car. Didn't slam the door. Didn't scream. I just walked. Because that was the moment I realized I wasn't fighting to expose him anymore. I was fighting to protect her. Back at Ray's apartment, I stood in the doorway like a ghost. She saw my face. Didn't ask, didn't push. Just closed her laptop, walked over, and said, Tell me. I did. Everything. The envelope, the fake confession, the threat. When I finished, Ray didn't react the way I expected. She didn't panic, didn't cry. She smiled. But it wasn't a smile of joy. It was the smile of someone who's waited their whole life for a worthy opponent. She pulled open her closet, took out a locked case, inside hard drives, backup phones, burner SIM cards, a DSR with geo-tagging. Elliot wants a war, she said. Let's give him a wildfire. I blinked. Ray, are you sure? She looked at me. Claire. He threatened a child. He loses everything. Here was the plan we leak anonymously. Not to police. Not yet. But to journalists Elliot couldn't buy. We published strategically. The trust fund under Leela's name. The conflicting land permits. Audio clips. Cut. Edited legally or anonymous. We bury the story in public truth. No lawsuit can outrun viral outrage. Ray tapped the side of her head. And while he's busy trying to plug leaks, we get the real target. I frowned. Witches. She grinned. Who notarized the confession? The plan was in motion. That night, the first file went live under a ghost blog. The next day, an investigative reporter we trusted received an encrypted folder. And by that evening, Trust Fund Baby was trending on Twitter. Elliot was clever. But he built his empire on secrets. And we just turned on the floodlights. It took Elliot less than 48 hours to respond. He went on record with the Courier. A polished statement. A sympathetic tone. The grieving husband, defending the memory of his sister, in law. I tried everything to help Jessica. But addiction is a disease. It was smooth. Too smooth. But he made one mistake. He referenced a bracelet Jessica never took off. Only Jessica never wore bracelets. She wore a silver locket. Every picture. Every reverie. The internet noticed. fast. Within hours, thousands of comments flooded in bracelet. Bro, you can't even lie right. Tell me you buried her without telling me. This man just exposed himself. That night, I got an email. No subject. No sender. Just a download link. Inside video footage, a grainy cam, possibly body-mounted, dated 5 years ago. A woman crying in the woods, Jessica. And beside her, not Elliot, but Carl Maddox. And then, shockingly, a third person's voice. Low, calm, Ray. I confronted her. I had to. I played the clip, paused it on her voice. Ray didn't deny it. She didn't even flinch. I followed them, she said. I was trying to protect Jess. I whispered, you were there when she died. She looked away. I thought she'd get away. I thought I scared him off. My voice cracked. Why didn't you tell me? She turned back. Tears in her eyes. Because I failed. And I knew if I told you then, you'd never trust me now. I didn't walk away. I sat beside her, held her hand, and said, then help me finish this. We sent the video to the same reporter, with a statement, verified the voice, verified the GPS data, attached Jessica's medical and dental records. 2 days later, they published the headline, Easterlift beyond video evidence surfaces in Monroe case. By nightfall, 3 new investigators had reopened the case, and Elliot disappeared. They found Jessica's remains a week later, buried under a false foundation permit Elliot had filed and signed himself. The trust fund, frozen. His accounts, seized. The confession from Carl, discredited. Ray testified. So did I. Leela never saw her father again. But I told her the truth, not the legal version, the real one. That her aunt was brave, that she fought. That her name would never be used as cover again. And now I tell stories. I sit with other women. We talk about forests, and men who bury things, and sisters who were never meant to be forgotten. Some betrayals are planned in silence. Others are built with documents, smiles, and trust funds. But truth doesn't stay buried. It grows roots. It cracks the concrete. This story isn't just about revenge. It's about reclaiming the names of the women no one believed. If this story moved you, share it. Let's make sure no sister, no daughter, no woman becomes a cover story again. Subscribe to Telling Story with me for more true stories that demand to be heard. Like, comment, and share this if you believe silence was never an option.